Am I here? Hold on. What's going on here? Okay. Okay. Let me know she can hear me. Can y'all? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There we go. I did something silly there, but I got that straightened out. How are y'all doing today? I'm Willy Bragg. I am back after almost 2 weeks. No, about a week about not live streaming. It's been about a week. Last week I did my last live stream. It was my birthday live stream, March 4th. It was March 5th that I was supposed. It was my birthday on March 5th, but I would look a little strange with ashes on my forehead. So I decided to go ahead and do my live stream the day before. So, and I'm back, and I haven't live streamed since my birthday live stream because I've been kind of sick. I mean, I don't mean just sick in the head like I normally am. I mean, I was sick in it. I was like literally just stomach flu, stomach bug, just kicking my ass. No, yeah, it's been a minute. So I am back, and I'm hoping to be back. Without any of that shenanigans again. So anyway, and how are y'all today? How are y'all? I'm okay. I'm psyched to be with all my friends here, and there are, it looks like my usual bunch are here. So shout out to Desert Mantis. Laura Loomer is scary looking. She is always scary looking. She freaked me out the very first time I saw her. Let's see here. Loomer looks like she's wearing a cheap Halloween mask. She is a cheap Halloween mask. And let's see here. We have apparently extra bullet prey to Satan today for this show. So hello Snipe Hunter, how are you? Max Sarjay is the extra bullet of secret shows. How are you doing, my friend? So we're here to talk about the MAGA Civil War, because there is a MAGA Civil War, a little right on right violence. But I meant to say this in the very beginning of the month, and I've been meaning to. And with the Trump presidency, I need to always put this disclaimer in the first stream I do each month. And since I've forgotten to do it prior to this stream, I'm going to do it here right now. And during the Biden presidency, I criticized Biden and I criticized the Democrats for their ineptness, their fecklessness, their ways of stupidity. And there will be people who will be like, oh, he sits there and shit on the Democrats more than the Republicans. Therefore, he must really be a Trump fan or whatever. They have said that about various left podcasters that would go and lay it hard on the Democrats, because the Democrats deserve to be laid hard on. They were in power and running the show. In November, Donald Trump won, and he's back into the White House. And I figured that there will be things he'd be fucking up with. And when he fucks up, I will criticize him, just as I criticized Joe Biden. In other words, I am not a partisan hack. If the Democrats fuck up, I will call them out on it. If they do something worthwhile, I will praise them for it. Same thing with the Republicans. If they fuck up, I will call them out on it. If they do something that's praiseworthy, I will praise them. So I don't care what party you're affiliated with. You do good things, you're going to get thumbs up from me. You do bad things, I'm going to criticize the hell out of you. That's how I roll. I am neither red MAGA nor blue MAGA. Just want to get that out of the way. So there is a MAGA Civil War taking place right now. It kind of started a little bit with the Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy wing of MAGA when it comes to bringing temporary workers here in the United States from other countries versus the America First crowd that wants to keep everything America first. The Steve Bannon wing of MAGA, and both were kind of fucked up in their ways. And the thing about it is, and I'll get into what I'm going to discuss a little bit here, but it was very obvious what needed to be done with temporary workers here in the United States. If you really value wanting to make your company better, and you want to go and bring the best there is, but you want to be America first, and the best there is from other countries, bring them over, let them do the work, train Americans, and pay them a living wage. So I just want to get that out of the way. I think that just needs to be stressed. And so MAGA, both wings of MAGA were wrong. But MAGA, that was like one of the very first fights right there within MAGA. A rip, you could say, that's taking place. Now let's go to another area where there's MAGA infighting, and that is between Laura Loomer and people like Thomas Massie. Now, I'm not a libertarian when it comes to economics. In fact, I'm anything but a libertarian on economics. I am a left libertarian in the sense that I believe that individuals ought to be individuals, and the state should not intervene in the lives of individuals as long as they're not harming anyone. Economics harm people. So I think it's quite anti-libertarian to be against, let's say, Medicare for all, because the insurance companies violates the rights of individuals. And honestly, from a free market standpoint, it doesn't even make sense to have the stupid healthcare system we have here. But that's another issue for another time. Laura Loomer is not a libertarian. Laura Loomer she's in a category by herself. She's like everything I detest about the Bush-Cheney era Republicans, but worse. Meaning that she's, she had this like Michael Savage style outlook toward the world. I mean, to her, where's George W. Bush and some of the normies that were defending the Bush-Cheney doctrine try to make it out like it's not about Islam, and they want to let you know that bombing the shit out of Middle Eastern countries was something that was done for humane reasons. That was their rationale. They try to put that spin on it. But a lot of the people under the Bush-Cheney doctrine, the right-wing movement at that time, the what is the core MAGA today, 90% of them were like Ted Cruz supporters in 2016, that sort of thing. A lot of these motherfuckers were the anti-gay marriage people, the anti-abortion people, the pro-torture people, the let's go bomb the shit out of Afghanistan and bomb the shit out of Iraq, and they prayed to go and invade Iran. These people, who basically masturbate to Benjamin Netanyahu. These people, these are the people that are the crux of what's wrong with the Republican Party today. And she is the epitome of that. And she is opposed to Thomas Massie. And so there is a little bit of back and forth between her and Thomas Massie. So let's go ahead and find that tweet here. Aha. Okay. And she says here, Twitter isn't real life. Most people on here talk a big game. Most people on here who talk most people on here who talk a big talk for Massie, referring to Thomas Massie, don't have a real life influence, and they won't be able to influence the race. Trump's words is more powerful than any tweet about Massie from the blame the Jews for everything crowd. Okay, blame the Jews for everything crowd. I know what she's referring to, and she's referring to that soft spot right there, Israel. Criticizing Israel is not anti-Jewish, you fucking cow. Anyway, let me go on. Notice they just want to pretend that Trump's not liking Massie has something to do with Israel when Massie has a long history of being anti-Trump. Trump is not a libertarian. Massie is. That's the difference between Massie and Trump. Now, that libertarian faction is part of the MAGA coalition. They were sort of Johnny come lately when there was no other choice for them. but they are largely the anti-war wing of MAGA, a faction that Laura Loomer is at odds with. She's more like Ben Shapiro. She's more like Mark Levin than she is like basically, a Ron Paul type. The people who are defending Massie are former Democrats who only became Republican in the name because they wanted RFK to be the HHS secretary. And they all support Ron DeSantis in the primary. Okay. All right. You want to know the stupidity behind that? RFK really has nothing to do with Thomas Massie supporters. As for Ron DeSantis, he's actually worse than Trump. He's to Trump's right. I don't understand why Laura Loomer doesn't want to suck his dick. Funny how they pretend to be MAGA-based and high-propensity Republican voters when many of them have been Trump supporters for 5 minutes. Well, here's where I stand on that. Laura Loomer, her devotional level of loyalty to Trump is cult-like. I'm not saying if you're MAGA, you're in a cult, but I'm saying that a lot of cultists are in MAGA, and she's a cultist. And she can frankly go fuck herself with her smelly dildo. So the thing about it is so she's basically attacking Massie in some ways from the right, is what you would expect from a Laura Loomer. I hate these people, by the way. I really do. Thing about it is, she went on and said something along the effects of, if we're going to primary Massie, can we also throw in Lady Lindsay? I volunteered to lead the charge. We can swap stories about men we have dated. Okay. Lady Lindsay. Isn't that just a little bit? Well, I do make that allegation against Lindsey Graham too. But I do because the Republican Party, who's the party of family values, and they pride themselves on their homophobia, obviously knows about South Carolina's most well-known secret, and I'll leave it at that. Laura Loomer has more in common with Lindsey Graham than she would get herself credit for. What is it about Lindsey Graham? This is what I don't get. There are some people who are doing the work someone like a Laura Loomer will want them to do, and she'll be against Lindsey Graham for it. I don't get there was a bunch of right-wingers upset at Mitch McConnell. Now, Thomas Massie, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, they're not necessarily angry in their demeanor 24/7, and they come across as rather normy. And I think that is basically style over substance. They want an unhinged lunatic to just basically bark at every microphone you can imagine. And I think that's basically what it comes down to. And that might explain why Laura Loomer prefer Donald Trump over Ron DeSantis, because he knows how to bark viciously on a microphone. Whereas Ron DeSantis, on policy, who's worse than Trump, comes across as a normie to a lot of folks. So it's basically a lot of style over substance that's going on here. But the fact that there are people that take this bitch so seriously, it baffles me. It honestly baffles me. Just look at it. Just look at this hideous piece of shit of a human being there. This bitch makes Marjorie Taylor Greene look like Medea Benjamin by comparison. That's how crazy and unhinged this monster is. And just that the fact that people take this cunt seriously is beyond me. But the thing about it is, I have policy disagreements with Thomas Massie. I do. I have policy disagreements with Thomas Massie, on the usual things to have policy disagreements on: labor issues, single payer health care, that sort of thing. And I'm sure I don't know where he stands on the various social issues, but I'm sure there's probably a social issue here and there where we're going to disagree. What I respect about Thomas Massie is he's opposed to the military-industrial complex. And he is, in many ways, where he was good on policy. He was, in various ways, an heir to Ron Paul. Now, I don't want to conflate any positive vibes and words toward Ron Paul and Thomas Massie as if, hey, I am in 100% lockstep with them because I praised them on this policy or that policy. I'm sure that the day that the Republican Party starts taking some aspects of Thomas Massie policy seriously, it'll be on policies that I find absolutely abhorrent that the Laura Loomer types would actually agree on. That's the fucked up part about the Republicans, who are basically a stop clock, given the right time twice a day, like a Thomas Massie. It's never, whenever they're taken seriously, it's usually on the issues that I disagree with them on the most. And it'd be nice that if the Republicans are going to go and take a policy from Thomas Massie or Ron Paul or Rand Paul in the Senate, that it would be something where I am kind of in agreement with them. Like, for example, during the first Trump presidency, with regard to Rand Paul, which Rand Paul's a little more of a normie Republican than, let's say, Thomas Massie or his father, Ron Paul. But, for example, when Rand Paul was, during the first Trump presidency, was working with a lot of Democrats, including independent Senator Bernie Sanders, and he was right back then on this, to stop the sales of arms to Saudi Arabia. And how fucked up it was that the people in Yemen had to suffer. And for all the MAGA folks who kept on saying, rightfully, how pro-war the Democrats became, and they're correct, these same folks, are they going to realize what happened when a cancer center was blown by the U.S. in Yemen? That's not America first, folks. That's Bush, Cheney, neoconservatism 2.0. So, yeah, and for those on the left who got on me when I used the term Trump derangement syndrome, I still think there's a level of Trump derangement syndrome that exists among a lot of liberals. This is why I was never part of the resistance. I am a different breed of resistance. Now, Chanda today on Trailer Park Pundit basically said this, that we represent our own resistance, that we're different from the Democratic version of the resistance. We resist Trump in our own way, and we resist the liberals that are quote unquote resisting Trump. We're our own type of resistance, because we know overall that it's not just Trump that's the problem, and it's just not the Democrats that's the problem. It's that the Trump, the Republicans, and the Democrats are all part of the problem. That position is not an inconsistent position. It's not an unreasonable take to grasp onto. I could never, ever be part of a movement that would sit there and give Liz Cheney a positive time of day. And that's where we're at here. we have desperate Democrats that's gone around, and they've gone around and rehabilitated George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, and sometimes they rehabilitate. If they're in a good enough mood, they'll rehabilitate John Bolton. Count me out on this shit. And get this, Bill Kristol, the architect of the Iraq War, supports transgender rights, which I'm glad he supports transgender rights. That's the extent of where I'm going to praise him. But he's still the architect of the Iraq War. He's a war criminal. The Republicans don't have anything to do with him anymore because, he turned coat and became a Democrat. And they're like, he supports transgender rights. Supporting transgender rights isn't the problem I have with Bill Kristol. His shitty policy of being responsible for the death of 1 million people in Iraq, so that the establishment here in the United States could sit there and basically please back then Foreign Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What's the problem I had with Bill Kristol? Still have it with Bill Kristol. So that's where I stand with that. As far as the as I said, Thomas Massie. From an outsider point of view, I will go and support his fight against the Laura Loomer wing of the party. And there's another faction of MAGA. I mean, there's the head MAGA himself, Donald Trump, this orange buffoon with a bad comb over, a comb over worse than my comb over. But suffice to say, he's also not happy with he's not happy with Thomas Massie. So the thing about it is, here's a little bit on that. I will go and share that with you, and I will comment.
Back. Kentucky Republican Congressman Thomas Massie says he will not be supporting a Republican-drafted short-term funding bill to keep the government open until the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. That has President Trump a bit angry. He said that Massie should be primaried because he's not on board. The president even compared Massie, yikes, in Republican circles at least, to Liz Cheney and wrote in part, quote, "He should be primaried and I will lead the charge against him. He's just another grandstander." I want to bring in our reporter panel, Braxton Booker and Jasmine Wright. Braxton is national political correspondent with Politico. Jasmine, politics reporter for Notice. And remember, Notice, news of the U.S.
A grandstander comparing Thomas Massie to Liz Cheney. Isn't that just precious? That's just precious.
Mike Johnson somewhat tepidly said today as Speaker of the House, he's in the incumbent protection business, but it's not like he said Thomas Massie is the most formidable member of my conference and a true loyalist or any of the other things you might extol. He just sort of said, I'd rather not get into this at the moment.
Right. Well, look,
how do you read it?
Look, for folks I've talked to in Kentucky today.
Yeah, please.
Look, I mean, Thomas Massie is a pretty strong candidate, and no one seems to think that there could be a candidate that could be fielded that could really take him out.
Okay, even with a Trump endorsement?
Even with a Trump endorsement. Even Massie himself has said, look, this is nothing new. Mm-hmm. He's done it to me in 2020 when I voted against a COVID era bill that Trump wanted passed. Did it again in 2022. And look, 3 times in a row, 3 times defeated.
Right.
And a lot of folks think Massie has eyes on the governor's race in 2027. There doesn't seem to be anybody who's actually really afraid of this. They seem to think that Trump is using this to kind of beat back some of the other Republicans that are holdouts.
It's not about Massie.
Exactly.
It's about other Republicans fearing they could get that wrath, not be nearly as, not indifferent to it, but kind of muscular with a history of defeating it in the past and say, I better stay in line.
Exactly. I think
so it's not about what it looks to be about. It's about something else.
This is a message to other Republicans to get in line because Republicans can only lose 1 vote. And if Massie's that vote, he can't have any other defections.
Right. Jasmine, the big word at the White House today at the briefing was we're in a transition period. Mm-hmm. That is acknowledging, barely, but acknowledging the market downturn, which if you are a middle-class person, the last week, your 401k or your mutual fund has taken a noticeable hit. You have reason to be genuinely anxious, even if you voted for President Trump in the 2024 election. But the White House is saying, hold tight, Better days are ahead.
Yeah, they're asking for basically more time,
For
which
grace.
I will tell you is much different than what we heard from Trump on the campaign trail,
So
who
much
basically
different.
said he would make America affordable again, and he would bring down inflation on day one.
Trump alone can fix it.
Trump alone can fix it. It is now day 40, 50. I'm not quite sure, but certainly these things have not happened. So they're saying that this is a transitional period. I was in the briefing room today, and Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, spelled out the fact that they believe that they're digging themselves out of a hole that Joe Biden and his administration created, and that things are not going to happen overnight. Again,
blaming the last administration. This is what they do. They'll get mad when Democrats blame the last administration, say, well, they're in charge now. Here's the thing. Donald Trump is in charge now. And he's got a Republican majority in the House. He's got a Republican majority in the Senate. He's got a court right underneath him that I guess he'll defy and go around if some of these courts say you can't do this. Even some of the Trump appointed people, if they start to question Trump. So we're going to see a constitutional crisis on that in that front too pretty soon. We are approaching constitutional crisis situations of this. But basically, Mitch McConnell's seat is up when in the next election, and it looks like Thomas Massie may be running as the Republican candidate for that seat. He's going to be in the Republican primaries, and you know, the fact that Mitch McConnell will be gone will be a good thing, because, you know, I know he's a zombie right now, the human turtle, but he's done so much damage over the years. It's not just Trump that's going to do a lot of it. A lot of the damages that's been done to this country has been done for decades. But right now it's on a warp speed right now at this point. And Democrats are never helpful to put a stop to this shit. They were never helpful. But the point is, you know, they're out there, and they have a target on Thomas Massie, which gives me a little bit of empathy for the man. So that's basically what it comes down to. So anyway, I just wanted to go touch on that because I think it was kind of important to talk about a little, you know, because the left is always a perpetual circular firing squad. So it's kind of nice to see that circular firing squad exists in not just on the left. That also exists on the right as well. So not all is well. Just whenever you see infighting on the right, just grab some popcorn and enjoy it. You know, just go ahead and enjoy it, because I'm still waiting for that great fight between Trump and Musk to take place, because when that happens, it ain't going to be pretty. So anyhow, let me go ahead and talk to everyone here before I go. Let's see. I know it's a little, as I'm running kind of short tonight because you know, it is what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and see let's see what we got here. Okay, thank you. Okay. Now Warren says, glad you're feeling better, Willy. Have some of that shit too. Yeah, I know you weren't live streaming for a little while too, and glad to see you back again. So looking forward to Morning Extra tomorrow morning. And see, Snipe Hunter says, oh, that's Laura Loomer. I thought that was going to be a review of the movie Saw. She reminds me of the character from Saw. Rick Solis, hey, how are you today? How are you? Oh, fascists not getting along. Who would have guessed? Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, you know, just enjoying seeing the fight going on. Ed Heller, how are you today? Did Willy swap places with a mirror universe of Willy? Yeah, I know there's some physical changes on me, you know. I'm not going to say better, but different. So there we have it. Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show. How are you? That would explain the sideburns, but Where's the goatee? I can't do a goatee. I've tried doing a goatee in the past, and I just can't do it. I don't look right in the goatee. It looks cool on other folks. I just can't get away with it. So there was that. I think he's wrong on many policies, but I think Massie has integrity, unlike Trump. That's kind of where I stand. That's kind of where I stand on that. Smelly Dildo was my character name on Nickelodeon. Yeah, and as I said, when it comes to Laura Loomer, I don't want to get anywhere near that smelly dildo. So let's see what we have here. Do we have any newbies here? Stephanie, how are you doing today? I'm doing okay. What's up? So anyway, folks, that's what's going on. A little bit of a circular firing squad on the right, as you can see, is all fun and as I say, just enjoy seeing it happen. And if there's any more developments on Thomas Massie, we'll certainly cover it. As I said, I like the fact that there is an anti-war voice, that's out there that against funding the Ukraine, funding for Israel, funding anywhere. I mean, it's great that there's somebody that's not afraid to stand up to AIPAC, and that is Thomas Massie. Something else I'd give him credit for. So, that's more than what I can say for someone like AOC and people like that. They're supposed to be on that front doing the job that Thomas Massie seems to be doing. So, good on him in that regard. So tomorrow I'll be back at 5:00 with politics, and we're going to be discussing Bernie Sanders and the things where things are going wrong with Bernie Sanders and how he's trying to make himself relevant again, and where he's letting us down overall. So if you're here to see a critique on Bernie Sanders, you'll get to see that tomorrow evening at 5:00 Eastern Standard Time. And so that's the day, that's the time and the day that works best for both of us. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow at 5 p.m. So it should be an interesting show and everything. So I would say I'll conclude right now that I'll be back also on Wednesday doing my live stream, and Thursday. Going to be having some more guests down the road and working with some people, trying to touch base and trying to work on them being on my show. So hopefully things will look up. So if you like what you heard, press like and comment anyway. If you disagree with what I have to say, feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to the Willy Bragg Show on all of my platforms. You know what they are. And remember to free and pardon Ed Snowden, but at this point also, free Mahmoud Khalil. That was obviously his First Amendment rights being violated. Also, free Palestine, free healthcare for all. And until next time, folks, I will conclude by saying, fuck the Dan Bongino. Y'all take care. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.